You're listening to the Patriot Nation Podcast.
All right, welcome into another edition of the Patriot Nation Podcast. As always, your guy Pat Lane here with my man Matt St. Jean. And Matt, we are back. You flew solo on the Chicago episode.
I did.
And I sincerely appreciate that. I had a hell of a time in Chicago. Just so much fun. Obviously, the game was a blast, but the place itself was a blast. And the 3 for 3 on the weekend. Three games, and the right team won all 3 games. So it was a fun weekend.
Yeah, it looked like from the photos you were sending me, it looked like you had a heck of a time. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Although I gotta say, that was the saddest looking deep dish pizza I have ever seen.
So I've never had deep dish pizza, and I'll tell you right now, I'm not really sure exactly what deep dish pizza is supposed to be, but I don't know if that was like legit, authentic, or whatever. People suggested it was Lou Malnati's was the name of the place, I believe. Mm-hmm. People suggested it. I went there. It was fantastic. Now, whether that was supposed to be
good,
whether that was supposed to be deep dish or not, I don't know. But I'll tell you, there was like a butter. They used like a butter crust, and it was like, whoo! It was so good, nice and crispy. And I even said, I was like, I could literally just eat the crust, like, and eat nothing else, just the crust around it. And so, but the food was good. Notre Dame was, I mean, what an incredible experience Notre Dame was. Notre Dame is similar to. Now, I've never been to a big school. I've never been to like a big, SEC school or college football game or anything. I've been to BC, but like BC doesn't really count. But I've been to like I had never, and I haven't been to BC since like the 90s probably. But the atmosphere there was so cool, and I kind of likened it to Green Bay when I went to Green Bay a few years ago, where it just had like a different vibe to it. It was awesome. We had a ton of fun. We had a blast, and that was great. So that was a ton of fun. And then the Blackhawks game, dude. What's better than live hockey? And then to see the home team win in overtime. Come on, I mean that's not much better than that,
Yeah, that's fun. Although I will say, hearing the Blackhawks goal horn, especially like in the context of an overtime game, I will always think of game 1. I think it was game 1 of the Stanley Cup in 2013, the triple overtime game.
Yeah.
I remember that game because those games would start at like 8 p.m.
That was late.
It's going to be like 10:30 before you get to overtime.
Mm-hmm.
So it was well past midnight Eastern time when that goal was scored. We finished the second period, and my dad was like, as a parent, I can't let you stay up any longer. Like, you have to go to bed now. And I went to bed, and I immediately grabbed my iPad and loaded up the game on it.
I love it.
As the game loaded, I saw the images of the Blackhawks celebrating. I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
Brutal.
And then I think I went right back to the living room after that because my dad was still up watching it.
Terrible. Just terrible.
Yeah. But for your deep dish pizza, how long did it take for them to cook it? I'm curious. Like, did you have to order it right when you got there?
We did. So we walked in, and they said, like, we cook it fresh to order, and so it takes about 35 minutes to come out. So we ordered a deep dish pizza. We also ordered a thin crust pizza, which was like just as good, if not better. It was like fantastic.
The Chicago style, like regular pizza, I've heard, is also really good.
And I like the way they cut it kind of instead of cutting it like a normal pizza, they cut it into almost like squares and stuff. And so, which was awesome. It was great. So the food was fantastic, and I had a breakfast. I had a breakfast we had like cinnamon roll pancakes. It was outrageous. So we try to do the food right when we go away. So
I love it. My lone trip to Chicago, I got the deep dish, different spot.
Yeah,
like 40. That's what they don't tell you about deep dish, is that you do have to order it like right when you get there because it takes 30-45 minutes for them to cook it. It's like a full pie. But yeah, that was delicious. We went to a breakfast place that did banana bread French toast, which to this day is one of the best things I've ever eaten.
That's wild.
The cinnamon roll thing you're talking about also sounds good. The photo you sent me looked amazing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It really was just regular pancakes with the mix on top, but it was fantastic. So
Like
I should have
that's you
checked out.
sold me.
I should have gotten the recommendation from you about where you got the banana bread French toast.
Now we're trying all kinds of different places. So
Yeah,
we're
gotta go.
building a list.
That's right. That's right. That's when we go back. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
anyways, that's the yearly trip for me. I try to go to one a year, and next year we'll see what the timing works out. But next year might be New Orleans, so we'll see what happens. Never been down to New Orleans, so
That could be a fun one.
Yeah.
Now we'll segue this into the game.
yes.
So obviously, you got to be there in person first. What do you think of the stadium, the environment, all that in Chicago?
So what's interesting is that people have complained about the stadium, right? And I've heard people say kind of, they did the updates X amount of however many years ago they did, and it looks like a spaceship, and it, whatever. It's not. I thought it was a gorgeous stadium. I thought there was a lot of cool spots, like in the concourses. I thought were really interesting. I can see why people say that, but I thought it was a gorgeous stadium. I really liked it, dude. The columns like on the outside of it are incredible. It's just like such a cool atmosphere. I mean, I was way up. I was like 10 rows from the top up, kind of in that corner end zone view. But I thought the seats were great. I really enjoyed the game. I thought it was a pretty good atmosphere. The Bears kind of stink, so like it's so like people aren't maybe as excited as they have been in the past, but I thought it was a good atmosphere to watch a game. A lot of Patriots fans there, especially up where I was, like way up. A lot of Patriots fans in the way up, and so not necessarily surprising because if you're down low, you're not as likely to sell your tickets if you're down low. Whereas if you're up high, it's kind of like we don't feel like going to this game. So it was windy as hell, dude, and I wasn't wearing a hat, but my father and my buddy were both wearing hats, and they had to like, at times, literally hold on to their hat because it was blowing off of their head. Like that's how hard the wind was blowing.
That
it
sounds
wasn't like consistent. It was just like, you know what I mean?
It sounds like a caricature of Chicago,
right?
Which is fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, and it really was. It's like one of those funny things that and the Windy City, by the way, I don't know if you know this or not, that Boston actually, on average, is windier than Chicago.
Interesting.
Yes. And so the Windy City, I believe, is something that came from a political ad or something like that years and years ago. It doesn't actually have anything to do with it being windy, which is just strange, but that's the story, I guess. So
interesting. I was when I didn't go for a game, I went up and walked over to the stadium. I love the location of that stadium on the water in the park.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, imagine if the Jets and the Giants played in a stadium that was at like the base of Central Park. Like,
right.
That's what this is in Chicago. So are they officially building a new one like outside the city? In a suburb somewhere?
I don't believe it's been approved yet. I think there's a chance that they might, but I don't think it's been approved. They've certainly talked about it. I don't think though that it's definitely going to happen. It might, but I'm pretty sure it hasn't been officially approved yet. But you're totally right in the fact that we left the stadium, we're walking out, and we're like walking through the park, right next to the water. It was pretty cool. That part of it was pretty nice, and so just trying to get kind of around. And we stayed pretty locally. We were a 15-minute cab ride from Soldier Field. We're another 15-minute cab ride from United Center, so we were like kind of centrally located, which was nice. But yeah, it was in a really nice location, I thought.
It's a great little spot there. I'm glad you had fun. Now, obviously, the Patriots win.
Yep, which was nice. This is the second year in a row. People like, the Patriots shouldn't win a game or whatever, and they go and they win a game that a lot of people don't expect them to win. Last year, of course, I was at Pittsburgh, which was nice. So
now I've gotten in my full thoughts. Everybody's heard an hour of me talking about that game on Sunday. We got to hear from you, Pat. Give us I don't know, 3-minute spiel on the game.
I thought Drake May, man, and we've seen the videos, right? We've seen the videos come out. Dan Orlovsky released one. I'm looking forward to what JT O'Sullivan has to say about him. I don't know if that video's come out yet or not, but Drake May can make some plays that you just don't like. Guys don't make plays like that. The throw that he made to KJ Osborne, I know Osborne stepped out of bounds barely, right? I know Osborne stepped out of bounds, but it's funny because, of course, we're the visiting team, right? There was no replay of that throw, right? They're not replaying that throw. Well, all of a sudden, we just saw a penalty flag, and I saw the ref's hat come off, and then they threw a penalty flag on KJ Osborne for stepping out of bounds. But that throw is outrageous. It was outrageous. I mean, that's a Josh Allen throw. Josh Allen has done that, right? Where he runs the sideline, and just keeps the play alive, looking downfield, and just throws an absolutely perfect pass to a spot where his guy he thinks can get to, right? He's putting a lot of trust in his receivers to get to places. And I think that that's kind of what's impressed me the most with May is not necessarily that, okay, he does these things. And so it's like he trusts his receivers to get in positions and to win at spots before they're there. He's not waiting until they're open. I will tell you, the difference between May and Caleb Williams was stark. I mean, Caleb Williams looked awful on Sunday. And maybe it was just a complete mutiny from that team that they just said, Shane Waldron's the worst. We have to get the hell out of here. This is terrible. But he was missing 6-yard out throws. He was skipping them on the ground. It was just like, what is going on? It was bad. It was really bad. Where, that throw to, and look, and I think I tweeted out at the time, and I can't remember if I did or not. The play to Kayshon Boutte at the end of the first half. First of all, great throw by May. Great catch by Boutte. Really nice route. I really like the route concept by AVP. But, we've had a lot of questions about how well coached the Patriots are and whether the team is really responding to the coaching and whether the coaches really have any idea what they're doing. They got up real quick and spiked that ball, right? That was impressive. For them to be able to, complete a 20-yard pass down the middle of the field with no timeouts and the clock ticking down. I don't remember how much time was left, but there might have been 20 seconds left when they snapped that ball. I think the number was 16, but I might be wrong about that.
16 sounds right.
So you don't have a lot of time. You make that throw for everyone to rush to the line of scrimmage, get set, and spike the ball with still having a second left was really, really impressive. And so you can talk about, it's those little things. Those little things are the thing that show me that they're well coached, that they know what they're doing, right? And I was impressed by that. I thought the defense played awesome, but again, the defense, Chicago's offense was so bad, you almost just wonder, I don't know how much did the defense really do? I mean, Caleb, you feel like he had some guys open and just didn't throw it at times. 9 sacks is impressive, but it wasn't all them. I thought, at least. I thought some of it was just he's just holding on to it back there,
Yeah, and my read on this Bears offense, obviously, I don't think the offensive coordinator is doing a great job, and obviously the offensive line isn't very good, but I think Caleb is making both of those things worse.
Yes.
And he looks like he doesn't know what he's doing out there, which I think is the issue. He's not accurate on throws because he seems to be hesitating in the reads. He's not playing with confidence. So then he's getting to his throws late and trying to force it with off angles. And it's like a whole cascading thing. And I think if you're a Bears fan, the scary situation here is that the reason the offense didn't look good, the reason the offense has been so incredibly simple and easy to defend, because Caleb is struggling with it mentally. So that's all they can run. And even in this simple, dumbed down form,
right,
he can't execute it. Now, that said, they ran what I think may have been the dumbest play call of the season in that little roll to the left to the boundary to no open receivers with 2 defenders on the backside unblocked. I don't know what that was.
Yeah.
But I think the takeaway for New England's defense is at least that when they face a stoppable object, they can stop it in its tracks. Yeah. Not every defense can do that.
No, and that's totally true. I thought they played better against the run. I was impressed with Schooler. Jeremiah Farms had an awesome game. And again, I don't know if that's going to continue, right? I think he's going to play some better guards for the Rams, right? I think they have some better guards than the Bears certainly do, and I know they have some injuries on their offensive line as well. But I was impressed with Farms. It sounds like Christian Barmore might be coming back soon, which is wild. But it sounds like he might be coming back soon. If Barmore comes back, they can continue to get play from Farms that they've been getting. Keon White continues to do what he's been doing, and Anthony Jennings has really improved as a pass rusher as well. If all of those things continue moving, this defense, this front seven could be formidable again, right? And you looked at it and said for a while, like the Patriots suck, defensively, or are really struggling defensively, and I think that's something for me that not that they fixed, because it's one game, it's a bad team, it's a team that's spiraling out of control. What's so crazy is that if they win that Commanders game, I don't know. I don't know what happens. If they win that game and they don't give up that Hail Mary, is there a chance that the Bears, instead of being now 4-5, are, I don't know, 6-3? I think there's a very good chance that that's possible. And instead, they're 4-5. They're reeling. They just fired their offensive coordinator. They're almost certainly going to fire their head coach. This is interesting territory for the Bears, and it all comes down to I don't want to get into a memorandum on the Bears, but I think the Patriots, again, the biggest thing for me is, okay, the team sucks. Sure, can you take advantage of that? Because Jacksonville sucks too. They didn't take advantage of that, right? And so it's like, so yeah, okay, Tennessee sucks. They didn't take advantage of that. You know what I mean? So it's like, so yeah, teams stink, but like, can you take advantage of those teams stinking? And the Patriots did on Sunday, where they haven't at times in the past.
Yeah, and I think that was, a couple of things. I think the defensive play calling itself was better.
Yeah.
They didn't. There's only one play I can think of where it was like, it was that same issue of, they're playing two safeties deep and the other team gashes you with a run. And it was pretty early on. For the most part, I thought the corners did a lot better job on outside runs. Like, everybody's good at that but Marco Wilson. He doesn't do that well. He is their liability in run defense from the corners. The rest are fine, and I think especially Jonathan Jones.
We don't need to see Marco Wilson anymore this year. Well, I'm good.
No. Especially with the other corner they have, Alex Austin fully healthy now. Maybe we give him a go. Maybe we give Isaiah Bolden a go. I don't care who. Marco Wilson, I'm okay.
I think that there were times, and someone pointed it out, but there were times where Marcus was playing the outside and they had Zay Bolden on the slot. And I like that. Zay's got the speed to do that in the slot. I think Marcus is more comfortable outside. I think he's a good slot corner too, but I think he's comfortable outside. He's good coming up and playing the run and making hits and being physical, right? And I think that, I'm okay. I know he's undersized, right? And you go against guys like T. Higgins and DK Metcalf and guys okay, they're going to beat him. I get that, right? Even if he has great coverage on them, Garrett Wilson did it to him, right? Even though he had great coverage, Garrett Wilson makes the catch anyways because he's bigger and, he's a great receiver. And so you're going to lose some of those. But I'll roll with it because he's so competitive and he is good against the run and all of those different things that he does. I'm totally fine with it. And there was a play. I think it was a quick screen. I think it was to Keenan Allen, just a little bubble screen. And I think Allen came in motion. And if, and Jones read it perfectly and he missed the play because Caleb got it there fast enough. If Caleb doesn't put some mustard on that, it's pick six. Like, it was a really nice read by Marcus. He kind of, he didn't make the tackle. He actually came back and helped on the tackle, but he slowed him down enough that I think it was John Jones was able to get him and take
Jalen. It was Jalen Hawkins. That screen. Who he was. This is something I noted in the episode on Sunday. Like, rewatched the game. It was like, I think Jonathan Jones had two different running plays where he came in with fire and just physicality against the run from the outside. And then you got Jalen Hawkins on that screen and blowing a guy up and going and make the tackle. And, we talk about the outsides of your defense. That's the kind of physicality that I just don't think they've played with consistently this year. And now that they've found this level, you want to see them stick with it. you also got Jonathan Jones playing some safety this week too. I think that's you look at this defensive backfield. I love the versatility and the amount of options you have for man coverage, and the versatility you can play with your safeties. Because Del Pettis as a man coverage
Played
safety
really well.
looked
Yeah.
really good. Brendan Schooler in the Longhorn package was a ton of
Right?
fun. We know that Mapu looks like a good player back there. Hawkins is a legit NFL player. Kyle Duggar is going to be very good when he comes back. Jonathan Jones can play free safety and slot corner and outside corner. Marcus Jones can play slot corner and outside corner. Gonzo, you can put on anyone's number one in man coverage and feel good about the matchup. So
Yeah.
it gives you a ton of options. Now, if we want to start looking ahead for a sec here to this upcoming week, I'm really interested because the two best receivers for the Rams, Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, are guys that they like to play inside the numbers.
Yeah. Yep.
Guys, they like to play close to the formation. So I'm just curious how New England attacks this. The issue is if they revert back to a lot more zone defense, that's where they've gotten into trouble.
Stafford's going to carve them up if they play zone.
But they build formations out, so it's very hard to play man against.
That's true.
So it's that's going to be I think an interesting matchup. How New England decides to solve this problem, because it's basically the opposite of the Bears' offense in structure. So how do you take the lessons from this past Sunday with what worked and apply it to a team with quarterback who will throw picks under pressure and an offensive line that has not, they're all right run blocking, but they're not good pass blocking. How do you apply those lessons in a situation like this?
Well, and as old man Mom points out, Yannick Ngakoue is here. Mm-hmm. And hey, I mean, that's the way it goes. We'll see. But I think that I think you got to get some pressure on Stafford, right? You got to get some pressure on Stafford. But I think just from what you see on Sunday, right, and what you saw on Sunday from the Patriots, I don't know if they can replicate it the rest of the year. I don't know if this is kind of that watershed moment where they figure something out. And again, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's not necessarily like every game. Maybe it's not this game. Maybe it's just a few games. But I do think that this kind of shows that they can do it. They can do it, I think. So one of the things, old man Mom points it out too, and I didn't see this, but May took a whole line out for dinner, apparently, so which I did not see.
Said that apparently he got in the mic up, he got caught saying he was going to take him out, and then in the presser, I think yesterday, whenever his press conference was this week, he said that on Monday he took him all out for dinner for something nice, and he had that grin on his face while talking about it.
So, but I just think like him, obviously comes out after the fact. I'm sure you talked about it on Sunday, but comes out after the fact that he had addressed the team on Wednesday, and that's the type of stuff for me that you can't teach, that he just has, right? And it was, and again, Caleb Williams, I was super high on Caleb Williams. I thought he was as close to a can't miss product as you can get because of the Mahomes way that he plays, right? You haven't seen it yet, right? We haven't seen it from him. Now, again, that doesn't mean we won't, but we haven't seen it. What I love about Drake May, he plays incredible, but it's not just the way that he plays, right? It's the fact that he's addressing the team. He talks with such reverence about the veteran guys, right? He talks about Jacoby, like he loves Jacoby Brissett, right? And he talks about the guys like he really loves them and really cares about them. And that to me, that's important. From the leader of your team, that's important, right? And TD says that he's Josh Allen 2.0. And listen, that's what you see. I mean, like I say, that throw was Josh Allen, right? Where he's running to the sideline.
Yeah.
And Josh Allen is similar to that in the fact that he's a great leader. He works his ass off, right? Allen, I mean, when Allen got in the league, he couldn't fall out of a water and hit boat. Couldn't fall out of a boat in the water, right? He couldn't fall out of a boat and hit water. He couldn't. He was like
So,
under 50%. It's so
somebody
ridiculous.
put together a 4-minute long reel. I saw this on Twitter the other day of Josh Allen missing passes by like 10 yards in the first couple of
Unbelievable. It
years.
was so bad. He was so bad, and he's figured it out, and he's worked at it. Right? He's worked at it. Drake May is light years ahead of where Josh Allen was when he was a rookie. Now, that
Oh,
doesn't mean he's going to be where Josh Allen is in a few years. We don't know that, right? But it seems like he has the work ethic. It seems like he has the attitude. And you can hear the guys in the locker room. They genuinely love playing with him. Like that's not something you can fake, right? They talked about Drake May. I mean, they talked about Mac Jones, but you didn't hear it like this. This to me, you hear him. You hear these guys talk about him, and Pop Douglas and Jalen Polk and the young guys talking about him, and even Mike Owen and all these guys. Like those are the things that matter. And of course, the play on the field matters the most, right? Obviously. But you have to be able to connect with those guys in the locker room, right? Brady was the best at it. Tom Brady, I mean, you hear all the stories about people like, they come into the locker room and he goes up and he's like, "Hey, I'm Tom, how's it going?" And they're like, "Yeah, I know, you're freaking Tom Brady. Like, what do you mean?" But he was just another guy. And that's the way May is trying to portray himself, but he's also showing those leadership skills early on. And that's so, so important.
yeah. No, and I would love to see that from May. And he'll only grow from here, I think, personally. We'll see what happens with the football side, but
Right.
he's cleared the first couple hurdles,
Yeah.
Good enough to earn a starting job over someone, check. Good enough to win a game in the NFL, check. Good enough to elevate his teammates around him for at least short stretches of games, check. These are, and we'll see. We're obviously going to get quite a big sample size here for what he ends up being.
Mm-hmm.
But so far, he's hitting the things he wanted to hit. I will say, and it's funny because I always read Evan Lazar's weekly columns because I feel like he sees the game similarly to me. And like the first observation he made was something that I also agreed with, which is that I don't think this was May's best game of this season.
No.
I think there were some points where he struggled reading that Bears defense. And that's fine. Like the Bears, for all the issues with the Bears, their coverage has been really good this year. So that doesn't bother me. I think he'll get better. But there was a play, second drive, their first scoring drive, the one where they kicked the field goal. There was a third down play there. It was a 3rd and 5, and he had Kayshon Boutte mostly open for what could have been a first down right away. He was looking at it and didn't throw it. I kind of get why. So it was like a crossing route, and there's a safety over the middle of the field. So I get why he may not have wanted to throw him into traffic.
Yeah.
But what happens is May steps up, and the safety really comes downhill then. And you've got Hunter Henry and Pop Douglas one-on-one, now both behind the safety, both open.
Yeah.
And May scrambles and gets 4 yards on 3rd and 5. So it sets up the 4th and 1. And they get the 4th and 1, and everything's okay.
Yeah.
Could have gotten a touchdown on that play. And that's one of those where it's like, as the game slows down for him, you want to see him more consistently when he steps up in the pocket to run, keep his eyes on the receivers to see if something has opened up, because he has the arm talent to make this is something we'd see from Brady. The Brady plays where the offensive linemen push everyone around the quarterback and he can step up. And as a fan, you're watching it and you can feel the anticipation because when Brady steps up like that, he's about to rip a pass to someone. And May doesn't need to load up the way Brady would in those situations. I think he can start to take off and run. If he's got his eyes down the field, he can probably just flick the ball wherever he wants to put it. And this is something he has done. It's not like this isn't he either does it or doesn't do it type of thing. It's a consistency thing. Can we can we make this read more consistently to throw the ball? And then he had a play down near the goal line in the second half. That should have been a pick. He threw it right to a defender, missed behind Hunter Henry.
Yeah, real bad.
Very, very lucky on that one. So learning moments, but it's a team win. He does enough to move the ball through stretches. Comes up with a couple big plays. Defense does the rest, and Yeah, always better to learn from the mistakes you make when they're on a win instead of a loss.
Correct. And that's really what it comes down to. There was also a play too, and no one's really talking about it. There's also a play where um he ran to the it was down near the goal line. I think it's one of the drives they set it up for a field goal on, but he was down near the goal line and Ramondre was coming. Ramondre wasn't in the backfield. I think was split out into the slot and was running like across the field. And there was a linebacker in the flat, and there was a guy chasing Ramondre, and he scrambles to the left. The linebacker in the flat comes and attacks him. Okay, and May actually throws it out of bounds. I think he actually ended up throwing it out of bounds left-handed.
Yeah.
Ramondre was wide open. And maybe he can't make that throw. Maybe he looks at it and says, I don't feel comfortable popping it over this linebacker because he's going to tip it and it turns into an interception or whatever. But like where that linebacker is coming at him, I just felt like if he just stops and just pops it right over that linebacker's head and just gives Ramondre some time to run, like some space to run underneath it, he's going to catch it and walk into the end zone. And again, I'll kind of go to his judgment. If he looks at it and says, no, that's not going to work and I can't make that throw, it's fine. I feel like, though, as a quarterback, I want him to be able to at least try to make that pass because I feel like that's an easy touchdown or at least certainly a first down in that situation because Ramondre had a step on the guy. And if he just lay it out open for him, I thought he could have even scored.
Yeah. And I think, this season in what is a rebuilding year is the time to make those mistakes. This is the year to be
100%.
aggressive.
Yep. And he's young. He's a young guy. He's 22. Like he's gonna make those mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
So I'm 100% on board with you. I will say we got to get into our first ad break, but there's people in the comments, as you always do, talking about AVP, and we got to move on from AVP, and he's not good enough, and he's not this, and that. I will just say, like, Drake May's playing really well. He is.
Mm-hmm.
Drake May is not the greatest quarterback of all time. He isn't. Now, maybe he will be one day. He won't be because it's Tom Brady. But there's no chance he is playing as well as he is with AVP being a terrible coach. It's not possible. Now, maybe AVP isn't the right guy moving forward. Maybe we decide we want to go in a different direction and we don't want to run the West Coast offense anymore. And, AVP isn't the guy. And maybe that's true. All I'm saying is that when you look at the way the offense has progressed, the improvements that Drake May has made from everybody, from all accounts, when you read everyone and listen to everyone, they talk about the strides that he's made and the footwork is better and the eye discipline is better. Everything. Well, that's on him, bro. Like, that's AVP. That's not just Drake May. Drake May is not succeeding in spite of the coaching, right? And again, I'm not saying he's the greatest offensive coordinator of all time or anything like that, right? But again, I just feel like he deserves at least a little bit of credit for getting Drake May to play as well as he's played so far. And a lot of it has to go to Drake May. Obviously, he's the quarterback, right? He's the guy playing. But I think the coaching staff needs to get a little bit more credit than what they're getting right now, I think.
Well, and I think, you look at the offense on Sunday, only 19 points. Obviously, you want to score more than that, but they got into the red zone pretty consistently. They put up a ton of yards. They moved the ball. They finally had, somewhat of a talent advantage in any way. Not even an advantage. The talent was just like a fair fight for the first time all year.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it was a fair fight. I think the Bears are more talented on defense, but it was like close enough. And the offense looked fine. I don't know what the future looks like for AVP. I don't know how this offense will develop. But year one, the goal number one was to improve Drake May, and they've done that. And in the few games we've seen where the talent has been a fair matchup offensively, they've looked fine. I think there are things that can get better. No play caller is never above criticism here. No coach is above criticism. And I've given my criticism of him plenty on this show. But good enough. He clears the bar for me for what I expected in year one so far. That he
Right.
can still dip. He can dip below the bar with the amount of time we've got left.
Well, and that's
But yeah,
and I agree with it. And I understand it, right? The problem is, an old man mob says, like, go out and get a better OC and keep AVP as the QB guy. This is not going to happen. I don't think you're going to get AVP to stay as the QB coach and then hire another offensive coordinator. I don't see how that's possible. I guess maybe it's possible, but like I don't see why he would do that. Take a demotion to stay here. I just seems kind of silly to me.
yeah.
Maybe you will. Right? Maybe
Yeah.
you will, but I'd be surprised if that happened.
People have also said that they don't think AVP has been like creative enough or whatever. He was the play designer in Cleveland. And Cleveland ran a lot of creative stuff. I don't think the creativity is the issue right now. I think the players aren't good enough to execute the creative things. We saw them try one for the first time, a trick play on Sunday, and it was a nice little, it was a like 7-yard gain, that little reverse screen thing. But the play design was nice. If the players executed it better, it would have been a bigger game.
Right.
The offensive lineman did not block it as well as I think they could have. They still got a nice little gain out of it. So
Right.
you hope down the stretch here as the linemen continue to grow with one another and learn how to play together, as May continues to grow, that you can see more spurts.
Yeah.
And maybe after next year, AVP hasn't grown the way you want him to. But one of the reasons you bring him in is because you want. This isn't, you're hiring a coach like this and you're shuffling around coaches. It's not like Madden where you can just bring in somebody who's a higher overall and it'll work.
That's correct.
The relational nature of coaching is very important, and it seems clear that AVP and Drake may get along very well and work well together. And with a young quarterback who is in the key part of his career for development right now, I am very risk averse with changing that environment because we saw, obviously it wasn't all because of the coaching with Mac Jones, but we saw the way mentally things stopped working in his second year with the change in offensive coordinator. And obviously, the guy you bring in isn't going to be a Matt Patricia level guy if you're swapping things out, but I'm not changing things just to change things at this point.
Right. And that's the biggest part of it for me. If your 100% concern is Drake May and Drake May's development, then AVP stays at least another year. Right. And again, maybe he's not the guy. Right. But like, unless there's a precipitous drop off in the last few games, I just feel like having that consistency. And we talked about this last year when we talked about Bill Belichick sticking around and should we keep Bill Belichick? Should we let Bill Belichick go? We said, if you're drafting a quarterback in the first round and he's going to be your new franchise quarterback, you do not want to have a coach that's going to be gone in a year or two. You just don't. It's a bad way to start your career. And so, yeah, if the guy sucks, sure, he's got to go. But like, he's done a good enough job. Is he the best offensive coordinator in the league? No, he's not. But like, Ben Johnson ain't coming here unless he's your head coach, right? Like, and I don't think you're firing Rob Mayo anytime soon. Brian Daboll, like, I guess maybe, but like, I don't know. Like, do I love Brian Daboll? I don't know. And so those are the things where that's the issue for me. If you get better players, what does the offense look like, right? The Cleveland Browns offense last year with Joe Flacco was explosive. Joe Flacco and Amari Cooper. So if you can bring me a number, like a true good wide receiver, like a real legitimate threat wide receiver, maybe it improves. Improve the offensive line a little bit, improve the wide receiver room a little bit, and see what happens. And if AVP doesn't, if you feel like, okay, after the next year, if you feel like, and again, and old man mom says Dave Ball's a better OC than AVP. I'm not saying he isn't. I'm just saying I don't want to make the change because I'm trying to protect Drake May as much as I can in his development.
Yeah. Go ahead.
You know what I mean? And all I was going to say was that let's see what happens. And if you think after next year that your offense is capped with AVP and you can't go and you can't go any higher than you already have, and you feel like he's still done a nice job, getting Drake May to where he is now, but you need to take the team further, then fine. I just feel like it would be a bad idea to do it now. You don't have the personnel. You don't know for sure what it looks like, right?
Yeah.
And that's the concern.
And I saw a comment in there about how AVP's been fired everywhere he was. He coached for the Bills for like 4 years, and when the head coach got fired, they cleaned out the staff. He was with the Buccaneers, and when the head coach got fired in Tampa, they cleared out the staff. He was with Cleveland, and he got fired because they made a $250 million mistake, and ownership is trying to clean it up. So people had to go so they could try to make it work. Like that's all. And most coaches get fired everywhere they go. Like
That's correct.
that's a description that also kind of fits Bill Belichick to a degree. Like Bill Belichick was fired in Cleveland, Bill Belichick was fired in New England. That's how it ends for coaches most of the time. Like you either get fired or you get promoted. It's fired, promoted, retired. Like that's about it. And AVP got promoted plenty in these stints too. He had a 4-year stint with the Bills, and he got promoted like every year there.
Yeah.
So I'm not like he's a fine coach. I think he can be a good offensive coordinator. Will he ever be a great one? I don't know, but that's not the decision for right now.
And TD, Ben McAdoo. Get out of here with your Ben McAdoo take, bro. Get out of here with your Ben McAdoo takes, dude. Get out. Just get out. Like you, Ben McAdoo? That's the guy? Come on. So, anyways, all right. Let's get into our first ad break. We're like so far past where we need to go. But let's get into our first ad break. Of course, that's from me, and that is Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Now, Prize Picks puts members first, so withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. And not only that, as I said, and I mentioned this before, Venmo is now available. You can add funds from Venmo. You can take out funds through Venmo. It's perfect. So this week, I got to sprinkle in some Patriot stuff, but I'm not going Patriots. Okay, I'm not going Patriots. I'm going Rams. I'm going for Matthew Stafford for less than 244.5 passing yards and Jahmyr Gibbs for more than 16.5 receiving yards. Those are my picks this weekend. So sign up today, and you're going to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You're going to download the Prize Picks app. You're going to put in the promo code CLNS, and that's going to get you that $50 instantly when you play a $5 lineup. You don't have to win the lineup. You just have to play the lineup, and that gets you your $50 bonus. Prize Picks also does cool things like Taco Tuesday, which they drop some things down and whatnot. They have all sorts of different things going on. Of course, there's basketball happening now as well. So don't forget, download Prize Picks today. Put in the promo code CLNS, and when you play your first $5 lineup, you'll get $50 in free money. Prize Picks, run your game. All right.
I've realized that we got way off track when we started talking about defense earlier. There was a whole other point I wanted to make there. Do you want to circle back to the defense real quick?
Let's do it.
So we talked about, the big issue in London against Jacksonville.
Yep.
Was the run defense.
Yes.
Which looked a lot better this week. It really has looked a lot better since then. And I think Sion Takitaki week was part of that. I also noticed, do you know who got the start on defense, Pat, at linebacker? Outside linebacker?
Who?
Curtis Jacobs.
Interesting.
Yeah. I give him a shout out on the pod because he also had a real hustle tackle on special teams on that first punt return.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he got a look there. I don't think he's going to get many more looks now that Ngakoue is here. I think Ngakoue is going to take that outside linebacker spot. But no, I thought that the run, like this is the formula for this team, because especially without Barmore, they don't have pass rushers, is always, or not consistent ones, has always been stop the run on early downs, get to 3rd and long, get to exotic stuff.
Right.
And they did that this week, and I really liked like the way they were able to stop the run early to get into these spots, and the Bears helped them out with the sacks and some false starts in there to make things longer. But they're now a good team, so that's what they're gonna do. Then I thought the exotic stuff the Patriots brought was all really good. So then I looked at this game this week against the Rams, and this is where it could be fun. So the Rams are not anything special running the football. So if Jeremiah Farms can have that kind of game for you again, that is going to be awesome. Jaquan Roy, who is out today in practice, but maybe he comes back, who I think he's been really good at points the last couple of weeks. Godshaw, obviously solid. Barmore said might come back this week, might come back next week for practice. I don't think he's going to play in the game Sunday. If he did, that would be incredible.
Right.
But if you can get into these passing downs, that's where this game becomes very interesting, because the Rams' offensive line in pass sets is atrocious. I was looking, Ben Baldwin has his threads that he tweets out every week with a bunch of stats. One of them is just how offensive lines grade out in true pass sets. So in passing situations, how good is your offensive line at pass blocking? And or not pass situations. It's dropbacks that aren't like play action or screens or anything fancy. Just regular quarterback drops back and throws the ball. How do you pass block? And it's like an aggregate between PFF and ESPN and one other one. Patriots are dead last, I think, as we would expect. Rams are second to last. They're right there with the Patriots of pass blocking.
Yeah.
I think one of the differences here is they have two really good receivers and an experienced quarterback.
Yeah.
So, this is a great opportunity for DeMarcus Covington to try to design a defense to confuse Matthew Stafford in those spots, to get to him, and for your defenders to step up and make some plays. They haven't forced turnovers. This defense did not force turnovers this year. They've gotten the hand on the football. They haven't forced turnovers. Is this a week where you can bait Matthew Stafford into a pick because you get him into a 3rd and long, he throws the ball under pressure, and you finally can get one? That's one of the big things I'm going to be watching this week. But you gotta pay your bills first and stop the run on early downs.
Well, and you're totally right. You're totally right. And I think too, the biggest thing for me when you start to look at the Rams and you say, okay, obviously you have Puka and Cooper Kupp. They're incredible. Both of those guys are incredible. Stafford can absolutely sling it, dude. He can sling it, and he's a gunslinger, man. He is Brett Favre. He is all those guys. He has no problem slinging it all around the field. But he will make mistakes. He will make mistakes, and if you pressure him, as you said, you can force him into making those mistakes. And I think that makes a difference, right? And like you said, they haven't really gotten a lot of turnovers. I mean, I can't even tell you when's the last time they even got a turnover on defense. I mean, they didn't get one last game. Did they get one the game before that? I don't think they did they?
I don't. Oh no, they did.
Know.
There was one that they got against Tennessee.
Tennessee, right? Tennessee fumbled. Did they fumble? Or
no,
did they throw a pick? I don't think they throw a pick.
Deflection at the goal line.
Giant divide. Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
But this team's forced one turnover in the last 4 games, and that was it.
Right.
None against the Jets in a win. None against the Jaguars.
And it's that's the one criticism of their secondary is that not the one criticism, but that's a big criticism of their secondary. And a guy like Christian Gonzalez, who I think there are times there was a play, and sometimes just bad luck. Right? What is it? The Tennessee game. Tennessee fumbles 4 times and recovers all 4 of them. And you're just like, they fumbled 4 times and they just recovered all of them.
And between the two teams, I think Tennessee might have only fumbled 3 times.
Oh, maybe they fumbled 3 and the Patriots fumbled once.
But what in the final 8 minutes of regulation and overtime, there were 4 different fumbles, and Tennessee recovered all 4 of them. One was the Drake May fumble. Yeah. And Tennessee fumbled twice in overtime. Yeah. Twice.
Right.
Patriots couldn't recover either one. Just unlucky.
Yeah, and so sometimes it's just bad luck. There was a play. And I honestly have no idea when it was, but I think it was a hitch route. And Tavai got his hand on the ball. And it looked to me, and again, I'm watching it live. I don't know for sure. I didn't see the angle. I haven't seen any replays on it. It looked to me like Gonzo was taking it back for 6. That's what it looked like to me. And Tavai just jumped up and got a hitter. Made a nice play defensively. But it's like if he doesn't tip that ball, that might have been a pick going the other way, right?
Yeah.
Because it looked like he was waiting for it and he was going to jump it. And so, but again, that might have been after Tavai tips it, he's coming. Maybe it would have been late. I don't know, right? But that's what it looked like to me, at least when I was watching it. So sometimes just like things happen, and it's like you don't get those turnovers because something happens, or the ball gets tipped in the air and no one recovers it, or whatever the case may be. So,
Yeah.
it's one of those interesting things.
Oh, I got a stat for you here. This is actually from Aaron Schatz earlier on Blue Sky, by the way, for anybody who's over on Blue Sky. I am over there. You can find me. He had tweeted, isn't the right word for it, I don't know, or posted that the general rule of thumb is that about 20% of passes that are defended will end up in interceptions.
Yeah.
Pats of 37 passes defended this year, 4 picks, which is a little bit lower than you would expect. You'd expect 7 or 8 picks.
Yeah.
So with some, regression to the mean, if we're going to use a statistics term on here,
yeah, baby.
then you would expect
Getting
just by the Patriots playing the way they've been playing, eventually more of these are going to turn into picks. So, obviously right now they have Anthony Richardson on the schedule in a couple of weeks. That'll probably help with that. But this week, Matthew Stafford not afraid to sling the ball, so you're gonna have some chances for it. He's got 9 touchdowns, 7 picks this year.
Yeah. Yep. It's totally true. So that's and then it's a good thing. That's a good thing, obviously, for the Patriots. By the way, one other thing that I will say is that a lot of people. Not a lot of people. Some people were complaining after the game because we won, because the Patriots won. And we looked at it and said, yeah, but the Patriots need a top 5 pick to get this generational left tackle, or to trade out of 1 or 2 and move back and get a crap ton of picks like the Bears did a few years ago. The only thing I will say to that, and Burt Breer mentioned it and other people have mentioned it too, this might not be the year to have a top 5 pick, right?
Yeah.
It might not be. Now, maybe the Raiders get desperate and they're obsessed with Shador and they want him and they'll do whatever it takes to get him. And so they'll give you a huge package to move up to number 1 and take Shador Sanders. That's a possibility. The Raiders are dumb. There's certainly a possibility they would do something like that, right? But I'm not worried about that right now. I'm just simply not worried about that. Okay. And so that to me is something where I look at it and say, yep, that's fine, right? I'm okay with that. I understand why people want to have a top 5 pick. And I think that, one of these left tackles is going to be really good. I also have concerns that people don't know if they're going to be tackles in the pros. And that concerns me as well. So I'm not worried about the draft right now. I'm not thinking about it. I want this team to play as well as they can. And by the way, if we're winning football games, you know what that means, Matt? That means the young guys are playing well. That means the young guys are playing well. If the young guys are playing well, that's a good thing.
And there's no maybe the Colts. But other than that, there's no gimmies left on the schedule. You beat any of these teams, you got to earn it. So that'll be a good sign, And if the defense, when Barmore comes back, that looks like that's happening soon, which is awesome. We haven't really talked about that here, but that's sweet.
Would be incredible.
We'll see I'm assuming, he's probably going to be a rotational player just from a stamina perspective. He won't be in full game strength probably right away. But that's fine. If you're replacing Daniel Aquale's reps with Christian Barmore's and everybody slides down the totem pole spot, that is a massive, massive upgrade for your defense. Another on the draft stuff. So Dane Brugler put out an updated big board this week. Not a single offensive tackle in the top 10.
Oh, baby.
Single one. Will Campbell at 11, Kelvin Banks at 18, Cameron Williams, who's the right tackle for Texas, opposite Kelvin Banks. He's at 27. Josh Simmons, the Ohio State left tackle who tore his ACL earlier this year, is at 29. Josh Connerly, the Oregon left tackle, is at 33. And Ariante Ursary, I definitely mispronounced that, so I
It's
apologize.
okay.
Left tackle at Minnesota is at 46. I think the nice thing for me when if we look ahead to the offseason for New England, first of all, I think Vidarian Lowe has firmly established himself as at least your backup left tackle next year.
I
If
agree.
he can be a spot starter left tackle in this league for sure. Right tackle, I think DeMontre Jacobs has done an admirable job there. He's probably been almost as good as Vidarian Lowe has been. We'll see
Yeah.
what Caden Wallace gives you whenever he comes back.
Yep.
But I think between the two of them, you have your backup right tackle set for next year, which also means Mike Onwenu will be staying at guard and can
Thank
practice
the
there all
Lord.
year. And if you look, we'll see who hits free agency, but a name that really interests me is that Garrett Bowles, I think, is going to be a free agent, the left tackle from the Broncos, who's had a good
Yep.
year. He's older, but if you sign him, now left tackle's fixed. You have your backup left tackle. You feel good about your backup right tackles, and if you got to play one, you got to play one. And now you can use your first pick on anyone, any position, edge rusher, wide receiver. You want to boost the secondary. You want to grab a wide receiver, whatever it is you want to do. You want to trade it for someone too. You want to do that with it. Like, it gives you some options. You can probably use that second round pick and find a right tackle.
Yep.
That gives you some options there. So I think obviously we'll see. We talk about the offensive line this week. Huge week for the line.
Absolutely.
The Rams have a good 1-2 duo with rookies, with Jared Verse and Braden Fisk, defensive tackle. Fisk has been good. Verse has been one of the better defensive ends in the league as far edge defenders in the league thus far. Now the Rams pass rush doesn't grade out to be that much better than New England's on the whole. So it's really one and a half guys that lead this. But the tackles are going to have their hands full of Jared Verse, and he's like he's kind of like the attitude and energy of Keon White in some ways, but just like 120% of the athleticism. Like, he's a first rounder for a reason, freak talent. So yeah, they're gonna have to scheme around that, and this is a good test for Alex Van Pelt this week.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Verse is a guy, it's funny because Jared Verse is a guy that I actually had a future at the beginning of the year on Jared Verse as Defensive Rookie of the Year. And of course, now he's the betting favorite for it. I cashed out when halfway through the year when he was kind of down low and not doing. He's not only the betting favorite, he's not just the betting favorite. Okay, he's minus 430, and the next guy is Laitau Latu, who is plus 1,400. So like Jared Verse, basically Jared Verse is going to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. Essentially, is what at least that's what the betting sites are telling you. So either way, right? The kid's been a stud, right? And they played together. They didn't play together at Florida State, right? Because Verse didn't go to Florida State, right? They played together before that, didn't they? Play together. They played together at some point. I know that. Him and Fisk, because I know there was that video of Verse being in the building when they called Fisk, and the two of them being so excited that they were back together again. And so, young edge defenders and young pass rushers are hard to come by, right? And the Rams have two good ones. And so, again, that doesn't mean they're going to, be whatever the best players or they're going to be dominant against the Patriots, but it is something that bears watching, because anytime you have guys that can get after the passer, that can make your life difficult, right? And I think what the Bears did a nice job of on Sunday was spying Drake May. And I think you're going to see teams do that from now on. Now, that's a good thing for the Patriots, I think. It does limit what Drake May is going to be able to do running the football. But it also takes one guy out of pass coverage or one guy out of the pass rush. And so for me, I look at that and say, that's a good thing. if they have to devote one player to Drake May at all times, that's
Mm-hmm.
great for the Patriots, right? Yeah, you don't get the runs from May, and you might every now and again. You don't get the runs from May as much as you would, but it takes a guy A, out of the pass rush, or B, out of coverage. And those two things, I think, could really make a difference for the Patriots moving forward. But I think that you have to look at what the Bears did and say, well, we have to do this because we're able to slow him down in those runs. That makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Well, and it's also, this puts more pressure on the receivers to win. So if May can't scramble, the receivers got to find ways to get open. And
Exactly.
if they want a spy, like what this means is that you're actually going to be man coverage with a spy, which
Yeah.
means the middle of the field is probably going to be pretty wide open for you because the spy is going to be focused on May, not guarding that space.
Right.
Or it means you're going to be playing zone coverage. And that really opens it up for your tight ends. I think that opens up for Pop Douglas. That opens it up for Jalen Polk. That's an area where he did well for Washington. So, yeah, these are the schematic advantages that you see when you have a quarterback like Drake May. And you go back to the last rookie quarterback this team had that they were developing in Mac Jones. Was one of the issues. It was so hard with him because this was never an issue. Like this was never you're never spying Mac Jones. So schematically, this is something defenses never had to deal with. It was never an issue.
Yep.
Now it is. Now that we actually have an X factor here, it's like, all right, teams have to game plan for this specific thing. And because we know they're game planning for that specific thing, your offensive coordinator can work for answers for that. This is coming and we can attack this because of it. We force defenses to play a certain way. And I think we see how they handle that down the stretch here, and then you learn lessons from that and you apply them to the offseason in terms of what types of players you would like to add to your roster.
Yeah, exactly. All right. You got anything else you want to add, or are we ready for our second ad break?
There was one thing they were talking about this on the Patriots podcast, Patriots.com. What Pat's Unfiltered, that's what it is. I forgot the name.
Yeah.
In the locker room, apparently they were saying, quote, old keys don't work on new doors in terms of the game plan, in terms of moving on from last week to the next week, which I really like. I like that recognition internally too, that, hey, we had a recipe that worked last week. It's not going to be the recipe that works next week. We're going to adjust and adapt. I also think that's a cool saying. Old keys don't work on new doors. That's kind of fun.
Like that. Yeah, I do like
that.
That's good.
They had a note. The behind the scenes showed that it was Jonathan Jones breaking the team down after the game. They said on Patriots Unfiltered, that's not the first time Jonathan Jones has done that. The first time he did that was after the Rams Super Bowl in 2018.
Really?
He was the guy who did that. Yeah.
I did not know that.
He was fantastic in that game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Didn't he do it after the Jets game, too?
He may have. I don't remember specifically.
But they were saying that tidbit. I did not know that tidbit. That's interesting.
The Rams game. And I think it's easy to forget that Jonathan Jones has been a part of Super Bowl teams here in New England. And
it's been here for a long time.
He's been a very good leader for this group. Very versatile. So I don't know how much longer he'll be here in New England with, he's an older injury prone corner. But as a veteran leader, he's been fantastic, and I'd like to keep him around for at least a little bit longer.
Well, I think his willingness to play safety is certainly helpful, right? Because he may not be able.
He said, "I'm a football player."
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like that's the attitude that he has to have, because he may not be able to stick it at slot corner or outside corner anymore, but he can probably still play safety. And I think that matters, right? Because you need guys like that have that leadership in the locker room too. So, I'm a huge fan of Jonathan Jones.
Yeah. Trying to think if there's. I think I mentioned on the postgame show with Jaheim Bell with a nice block.
Yes.
For a run before the touchdown. Nice to see him taking things up. Excited to see how they use Ngakoue this week. He stressed being a 3-down player. He seems very bought into the culture already, which is pretty sweet. Yeah. So he could. This is if he comes in and gets like a sack this week, he'll become like a fan favorite player.
Oh, absolutely, dude. Well, you know what the thing too, and as we talk about the coaching staff and everything else, I think that There were some issues with some of the receivers for a bit. I think the buy-in that you see and that you're getting, I think is a lot better than what we've been getting, I think. And I think that that's another sign that points to like, okay, like the leadership is doing a good job. Now, that's not all the coaches, of course, but I think that the coaches have something to do with that. And then you look next at the leaders in the locker room. The thing about it is that Bentley, leader, done for the year. Barmore, leader, has been out, right? You know, Brissett, well, I guess Brissett's still there, but like, you look at all these guys that are hurt. Duggar, leader,
Mhm.
has been hurt for a while, right? Peppers, leader, isn't with the team anymore, at least for now. And so you start looking around and you're like, there's all these guys that are leaders that aren't there anymore. And so those are like, that's things. And I think you're starting to see the young guys step up. May is stepping up as leader. I think Gonzo is doing a nice job of stepping up as a little bit of a leader. Ramondre is stepping up as a leader. And so and Bentley, thank you. Bentley, old man Mom points out Bentley's hurt and done for the year as well. Like those guys are leaders. But what's happening is that the young guys are stepping up now. And I think that that's huge. And so, yeah, it's part of the court. The coach has to get buy-in as well. But when the leaders of the team are bought in, it makes a huge difference. And I think that you're seeing other guys lock in and buy in because of those guys. And I think that, that's a great thing. It's a great thing to see your young guys stepping up and becoming leaders.
Yeah, no, it's great, and that's the cultural transition here. I think has been very, very good. It's a little thing, but you just see the reactions of the players and like the post game video
Yep.
coming off the field, the emotion in the locker room. It's all fantastic
Yep.
right now, and you just try to build off of it. There's no gimmies left this season, but you want to see him earn another win or two at least
Absolutely.
down the stretch.
Yep.
More would be awesome.
Yeah.
But this week is 4.5 points is the spread. This is winnable. You're at
I
home.
think so.
It's going to be uphill as it's been, but
Yeah.
this is probably roughly in the same category as that Seahawks game earlier
I
this
think
year.
so.
And
I agree.
break out the silver pants again and go to work.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
One last thing I think we'll just touch on the injury report. Not a whole lot on the Rams side. They did a walkthrough today too, so you're just not
Okay.
going to learn a lot. Guys out for New England. Isaiah Bolden, personal, so I don't think that's anything to worry about. Marcellus Dial with a concussion, something to watch for their special teams unit.
Yep.
Jaquelin Roy out with a neck injury. Sion Takitaki out with a knee injury. He went out near the end of the game.
Okay.
So he has been, it looks like Christian Ellis is back to practicing, but now Takitaki's out. So we talked about how the run defense has been better. Linebackers are banged up again. So hopefully they can be good to go. And then Dietrich Wise got banged up near the end of the game. He was out today with a foot injury. So we'll see what happens there. But Duggar is back to practicing in a limited facility. Quale limited, Ellis limited, Hunter Henry limited, Vidarian Lowe limited, Marte Mapu limited. And then Alex Austin, he's a full participant. He has been for a little bit. So I wonder if this is the week we see him activated to come back up to the roster, especially, I don't know what's going on with Bolden, but with Marcellus Dial having a concussion, probably good timing for him to come up.
Right. Yep. Agreed. Agreed. So we'll see. I mean, yeah, there's issues here, and you have a long list as you always do on the injury report. It seems like this year, but you are getting some guys, and some of those guys might play. So we'll see.
Yep.
But all right, we ready for our second ad break, and then we'll get into our picks for this weekend.
Yeah, let's do it right here. I'm gonna talk to you guys about game time, specifically game time around the Boston Celtics getting the win tonight against Brooklyn. Good win for them, and who doesn't like going to the Garden to go watch the Celtics play? They're gonna be at home this weekend against the Raptors. Let's say you want to make a double feature out of it. Go see the Celtics on Saturday, the Patriots on Sunday. You'll have that opportunity, and Celtics will be back home the following Tuesday as well for the next NBA Cup game against the Cavs. Hopefully it goes better than the first game went. And with Game Time's new feature, Game Time Picks, it's going to be even easier to see your favorite teams play. You can pull up any of these games in your app, and you're going to see a map. It's going to have a fire emoji next to the cheapest tickets. If you just want to get in for the cheapest price, they're going to put a star next to all the seats that are good value, best values in certain sections, make it super easy for you to find the tickets. You click on one of these, you're going to see a picture of what it's going to look like from your seat. And with all-in pricing, you know that the price that you are seeing right there is the price that you're going to pay. You're not going to have a million fees tacked on at the end. I've used Game Time. It's been fantastic for me. It's first spot I go and I'm looking for sports tickets. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time.
Can't confirm about Game Time. Matter of fact, that's how I got my Blackhawks tickets. Went on Game Time, saw them for pretty cheap, and so we bought tickets to the Blackhawks game. It was great. So, also speaking of basketball, I know it's a little off topic. Wemby, Wemby's so much fun to watch. He's such a baller. Tonight, he had 8 threes tonight. He's 7-footer for God's sakes. He had 8 threes, dropped a 50 burger against Washington. 50 points, 3 blocks. The guy's an absolute animal. He is going to get a triple double with blocks. He might even get a quadruple double. Last week, he had 9 blocks. He had 24 points, 13 rebounds, and 9 blocks. So he's going to get a triple double with blocks, and it's going to be incredible. And he passes the ball enough. He doesn't get like 10 assists or anything like that, but he passes the ball enough to get like theoretically close to a quadruple double, which would be completely insane. But he's so much fun. He's so much fun. So, anyways, just had to throw that in there.
He's crazy. He's wild. Do we want to get to our game picks right now?
Let's do it.
All right. Let's take a look at last week's results. I started off hot here, and then you took the Sunday and Monday night game. So,
yep.
You went 4-1. I went 3-2. We're now tied on the season.
Woo-wee.
Yeah. And that Lions Hex games.
If only I didn't pick the Jets. I even said it. I said it while I was picking it. It makes no sense. I don't know why I'm picking the Jets, but I'm doing it anyways. And I shouldn't have done it. I would have gone 5-0, but that's okay.
Yeah. I thought, man, that I did not think the Lions were going to win that game, man. That annoyed the heck out of me.
That game was wild.
2 field goals by like a combined inch. No, get out of here. That's not real.
Yeah, it was nuts. That was completely insane.
Hated it.
And that was Sunday night. So I was in Chicago. We had come back from the Blackhawks game, and we got back to the hotel, and there was like 2 minutes left to go in the game, and of course, like then we're like we got to watch the end of the game. So we watched the end. It was great. It was cool to see them win with Goff playing so terribly. And then Monday Night Football. How about this? I'm in a not a big money league, but I'm in my most expensive league that I'm in is a guillotine league. The lowest team is out. All right. Doesn't matter how good you are. We scored 170 points last week. We were incredible. This week we were down, and we were up by 1 point going in to the second to last to the last place team. They had A-Chain and we had Stafford. And I say we because it's me and my buddy do it together. And I'm like panicked. I'm like, Stafford against A-Chain? There's no way. And so we fly home. I land. We're like midway through the third quarter when I land. We get on the Logan Express. We're taking the Logan Express back to Braintree. My buddy pulls up his phone, and we're watching the game on his phone. And it's like back and forth. And I'm like, I'm like flipping out because I'm like, this is like, I mean, first place, it's 18 teams, $100 a piece. First place, 1,800 or like, a share of $1,800. Like it's a big money payout. And of course, then once you last, you're out. Like you don't even get to play the rest of the year. You're just done. And so whatever, we're going back and forth, and I'm like, oh my God. So the final drive, we need like 4 points. We need like 1.5 points. So we need 40 yards passing, basically, from Stafford. which he gets. He gets a little bit more than 40 yards. And they get down to the goal line, and it's 1st and goal from the 9, and he came like inches away from throwing a pick. And so we're up like 0.9, and that would have been it. We would have lost because of the interception. And then he on 2nd down he threw another bad pass, and I'm like, oh my god, dude, get this guy out of here. They show McVay, and all of a sudden you see like a fat guy run by McVay, and I'm like, oh my god, they're kicking the field goal, and they kick the field goal on 3rd down, and I was like celebrating. I'm like, so now I don't care who wins. I'm just sitting there saying, and I had forgotten I picked the Dolphins, and I was like, just recover the damn onside kick. I don't want the Rams to get the ball back. Like the only bad thing is going to happen. And so they recovered the onside kick, and we won literally by 0.9 points. It was wild. But it was a great finish to an awesome sports weekend because I'm sitting there like sweating bullets, just desperately trying to get to the end of that and win my fantasy matchup, which I did. So it was wild. So
I love it.
But anyways,
week 11.
Week 11. Let's do it.
Slate this week. This is a loaded week of games. Thursday night game
Absolutely
is Commanders-Eagles, which I think is a game everybody's been looking forward to for that division.
Yep.
The Sunday 1 o'clock game is Ravens-Steelers, which I believe is Pittsburgh's first divisional game of the year. Very interesting game. 4 o'clock, we get Chiefs-Bills, which is always fun. Bengals-Chargers in the Sunday night slot, which is 2 decent teams with good quarterbacks. Monday night might be a little bit of a snoozer. It's Texans-Cowboys. But the Thursday night and then Sunday slates are just absolutely loaded with good games. So, yeah, I apologize to my girlfriend in advance. I'm not doing anything this weekend.
Start Thursday night. Right?
What do you got? Commanders and Eagles.
Commies, Eagles. I mean, this is a fun matchup. The Eagles right now are one of the best teams in football. I just don't know how a home game, divisional rivalry on a Thursday night game, short week. I don't know how you can pick against the Eagles in the spot. I just don't know how you can do it. I love what I've seen from Jaden Daniels. I think the Commanders are a lot of fun. I think their defense needs a lot of work, but their offense is just so much fun to watch. I expect them to probably put up some points on Thursday night, but the Eagles have been an absolute wagon, like a wagon lately. And so I expect the Eagles to take this game, especially since it's at home.
Yeah, I am with you. I'm taking the home team for this one. I think it'll be a good game. This might end up being a high-scoring game because I don't know how much I like. Well, this Eagles defense has been coming along.
Yeah,
this will be a great test. I think the Commanders think their offenses had a good test last week against Pittsburgh. They did okay. Eagles will be similar. So, curious. I think it's hard. Like on paper, the Eagles are the far superior team here, but the Commanders have been really good this year.
Yeah.
And this is, I think, when we're going to start to find out how much of that is real and how much of that is a QB that teams don't have a scout on and playing poor defenses to start the year.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. All right. Up next, 1 o'clock game, Ravens at Steelers. I'm going Ravens here. I got to do it. Steelers have looked good. Russ is fun. He really is. He's playing really well. Mike Williams is kind of a perfect fit because Russ loves to throw those high, rainbow balls, down the field. And so I think Mike Williams is a really good fit for this offense. And he's like unlocked something with George Pickens. George Pickens is a complete lunatic, by the way, just a complete and utter lunatic. But the Ravens have just been so damn good this year, and I know they're on the road. I don't care. I got to pick the Ravens.
Yeah, I think that the guys on the Ringer Fantasy Football Show were talking about it this week. That like George Pickens makes the craziest catch you've ever seen every single week, and yet if you search his name, that catch or whatever it is won't be in the first 3 plays you see of what he did that week.
He's like jumping, throwing a jumping stiff arm, like trying to fight 4 dudes at once. The guy's a lunatic.
Yeah. JP Acosta had a tweet that went viral over the weekend that said, "There's nothing going through his head except the Young Boy lyrics and CTE."
That's good. That's good.
Absolutely insane player. I don't think Pickens is going to be enough for the Steelers to get the win here, although that game plan the Steelers used last week against a mobile quarterback, they could just maybe reuse that this
Yeah.
week. I just think the Ravens have a gear that they can reach on offense that the Commanders don't. The experience that they have, the talent that they have in the receiving room, better offensive line, and then obviously Derrick Henry. So
Yeah.
I think that's enough, but I think this will be a very close physical. It's going to be like obviously I'm excited for Patriots Rams, which I think will also be a great game, but it's going to stink that I won't be able to watch this in its entirety at the
I
same
know.
time.
I know.
Yeah. 4 o'clock Chiefs Bills. I don't
Chiefs
know.
Bills.
Not a
Don't
lot
make
we
me
have to say for this. Hype it up.
don't make me tap the sign. Do not make me tap the sign. Don't pick against the Chiefs. Don't do it. Don't pick against the Chiefs. I'm going Chiefs. I have to. I have to go Chiefs because every week, even when they have absolutely no business winning, when they clearly are going to lose the game, when they play like absolute garbage, and the other team outplays them and outgains them and does everything better, and it just doesn't freaking matter. And the Chiefs are in the Bills' head, and the flipping Chiefs, for Christ's sake, they're going to end up losing some stupid game at some point to some team that they're like 1,000 times better than, and everyone's going to
Could
look
have
at them
been
and
the
be like, "What the
Broncos
hell is
last
this?"
week.
Like the Broncos almost beat them, right? If they don't block that field goal, but like it's going to be a game like that. I don't think it's this game they're going to lose. They could. I just think that this is a game that they're going to like really play well in, and the Chiefs win. Again, I'm just not going to do it. I have resigned to stop betting against the Chiefs because just every time you do, you lose.
Yeah. I am gonna bet against them here. I think this is the time. The Bills are good. Like if they don't lose this one, man, they might go undefeated because the Chiefs don't have that hard of a schedule after
That's
this.
correct.
I just don't believe that this team's that good. They're not a bad team. Like the Chiefs are probably the second or third best team in the AFC, depending on how exactly you rank them with the Ravens and the Bills.
Right.
They're not the best team. I don't think they're going to go undefeated. They're on the road against a team that's also in the top 3. I'm just going to take the Bills to win this one. Like I think from the big picture perspective, I think this kind of has to be the one the Chiefs lose.
And I don't necessarily blame you for that. I just feel like the flipping Chiefs. It's just the damn Chiefs.
If the Chiefs win back-to-back Super Bowls and then after that go undefeated in the regular season, I don't know what I'm going to lose my mind.
Yeah, that would be really bad.
Yeah. Well, like this is the Chiefs' schedule the rest of the way
Patriots
after this one. They have a game at in quotes the Carolina Panthers. I believe that game is in Munich.
Yeah, they'll win by 1,000.
No, they'll win by 3. That feels about right.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
game.
right. Yeah.
They play the wait. Does that mean the Panthers have 2 games over there this year?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. They play they host the Raiders. They host the Chargers. They're not losing either of those. Play Cleveland on the road. I don't think they're losing to that. They host Houston. They could lose that. The final 3 could trip them up. Their final 3 is versus Houston, at Pittsburgh, at Denver.
Yeah.
That could be tougher to go through, but like, man.
Yeah, they're just the Chiefs. They are the Patriots, right? They are the Patriots of old, where they don't do anything perfect, and you look at it, right? I mean, we did this for 25 years. You watch the game, and you're like, oh my god, they're playing like such crap, and and you're like, wait, they're winning? How are they winning? Like, what do you mean they're winning the game? This is what they did for years, right? I don't know if they're good enough to win the Super Bowl. I don't think that they are. But this is the type of team that they are, right? Where they just do everything right. And they wait for you to make mistakes and they instantly capitalize on those mistakes. And so, anyways, I think that I think that you're just so damn good. And I hate it, but I do.
That game is actually in Charlotte. It's not in Munich.
That's what I was gonna
The
say. I'm
Panthers
like,
game.
are you sure it's in Munich?
So
Okay.
it wasn't adding up, but I thought I saw something the other day that said it was. So
Okay. Well, there you go.
that's what I get for taking things, from the internet
Like Aaron Rodgers.
seriously. Yeah.
Um,
Oh my gosh.
that was hysterical. So, anyways, we got Bengals at Chargers on Sunday Night Football. Tough one. The Chargers play so hard. They're so much fun. Harbaugh is really trying to turn that team around and really doing a great job of it, I think. But I'm going Bengals. Bengals. Right now, the Bengals, okay, their season is on the line, right? Their season right now is literally on the line, right? They're 4-6. They're probably out of it. Like, they're probably not going to make the playoffs, but like they at least have a chance, right? These 2 weeks can kind of get the ball rolling. You got at the Chargers and then versus the Steelers. Okay. If you win those 2 games, the 3 games after that are at the Cowboys, at the Titans, home against the Browns. Those 3 should be wins. If you can win 5 in a row, all of a sudden you're 9-6 with 2 games left to go in the season and you get a chance. Right? Now, again, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if the Bengals are going to do anything, they have to win this game. And Burrow has been playing really well as of late. And so I know the Chargers are a really good team, but I think that there's a chance. I think there's a chance that they can win this game.
I think the Chargers end up taking this. The Bengals are the flashier team. The Chargers with Harbaugh have just been a really sound, tough football team. And I'm gonna take, the substance over the style in a game like this. I think it's a must win for Cincinnati, and I don't think they do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, another note here. Bengals breaking out an alternate uniform this week. Remember those orange pants they wore against New England?
I do.
They're wearing them on the road this week.
Ugh.
I
Well,
thought they're just gonna look like the Browns.
yeah. It's kind of weird.
Like orange helmet, white jersey, orange pants. Like that's the Cleveland Browns right there. Why are
Yeah.
you trying to look like your in-state rival?
I love the Bengals helmets, right? I love when they did the what's it called? The white helmet was dope. I thought that was really cool.
Tiger, yeah.
And I think the helmet is really unique and awesome. Their jerseys are just meh. Meh.
Oh, I disagree. I think the Bengals have some of my favorite jerseys in all of
Well,
all of
I will
football.
say, okay, I will amend my statement. The black is dope.
Yes.
The black
Oh,
jerseys
yeah.
are dope. When they wear the orange, I'm like, okay, this is like whatever. You know what I mean? The black jerseys are sick. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. All right. On to Texans Cowboys. I mean, come on.
This should be sick.
Come on. Clearly, the Texans are going to wipe the floor with the Cowboys on Monday Night Football, which of course means they'll probably lose. But I think, but the Texans have to look at that. Have to look at last week and say we did everything we could. We played a perfect game against the Lions. We forced 5 flipping turnovers, right? We played our asses off. They played so hard, and they still lost. And so I expect the Texans to come up pissed off and win by like 25 against the Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Like the Cowboys are done.
Yeah.
One thing working in the Cowboys' favor, this game will be played in the dark. We won't have to worry about the sun for this one, unfortunately for them.
Where's the moon gonna be, Matt? Where's the moon gonna
be? Oh my goodness, that would be my favorite story of the week. That Jerry Jones stuff. But yeah, the Texans should wipe the floor with them. This game should not be competitive. The Cowboys are done. This team is checked out.
By the way, did you see Mike McCarthy during his press conference had the shades up so that the sun wouldn't be in his face?
Yes. I think my favorite thing, that somebody knows they're in the wrong and that they don't have a defense for it.
That's correct.
When they get criticized, they just go to the furthest extreme right away.
Right.
And Jerry Jones gets asked, like, why don't you put the curtains up during football games? And he's like, "What, do you want me to rebuild the whole stadium?" It's like, all right, well, that kind of answers her question there. I think it also probably says a lot about how Jerry Jones thinks about money. That putting up the curtains and rebuilding a stadium might just be, about the same thing monetarily to him.
It's really, I mean, it's funny, It is interesting though. You will get those shots every now and again. Remember the Brady shot from down low, where you have like the glare of the
Iconic.
Oh, it's an iconic shot, right? But it's like, is that worth it? I don't know. It's wild.
No, they can. I don't know. It looks cool.
Yeah. Yep. So, anyways,
Funny when it enters the game.
Also, one thing before we get into our prize picks for the week, one interesting thing, because we're talking about the sun and it leads me to the clock and time, is that we land. So we went to Notre Dame game Saturday night. We landed in Chicago, which is in Central Time.
Mm-hmm.
We then drove roughly 2 hours to Notre Dame, which is in Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah.
And so I was landing at 12:30, and I'm like, oh, we got plenty of time. We'll get there and this and that. And then I was like, wait, why did they say we're getting there at 4 o'clock? I'm like, what's going on? And then I'm like, oh my God, they're an hour ahead of where we're going. Like, and so it was just weird. It was weird to drive from there and then gain an hour, right? And then all of a sudden, like, it's an hour later. Interestingly enough, on the way home, it was late enough that it had just turned to midnight when we were driving from Notre Dame, and about 3 minutes later, so it switched to Sunday, and then about 3 minutes later, it switched back to Saturday, which is kind of cool, like during the drive.
That'll mess. So, see, what's funny is I spent the first years of my life living out in Michigan, which is still right over there on the western edge of the Eastern Time Zone.
Yep. And
what they don't tell you about that is the way it changes, like the sunlight.
Yeah.
So living there in the summer, your sunset's like 8:30. It's crazy. Totally, totally different than living over here all the way on the East Coast.
Yep. It's wild. So
yeah.
All right, we'll do our prize picks really quick. My prize picks I already read, but I'll read it again just so everyone can hear it again in case you skipped over the ads. Don't skip over the ads. We love our sponsors, but in case you did, I will read it to you again. I'm going Matthew Stafford for less than 244.5 passing yards and Jahmyr Gibbs with more than 16.5 receiving yards.
I like it. Mm-hmm. I've got Romeo Doubs for more than 44.5 receiving yards and Jahmyr Gibbs for more than 16.5 receiving yards.
Okay, all right, okay. Going Gibbs as well. I like it. I like it. So we're all in on Gibbs.
Page. Yeah, what is that? Who are the Lions playing again?
The Lions playing Jacksonville.
That's what it is. Yeah. The Jags play a great defense, and they play a bunch of cover 2 man, which means there's going to be a whole lot of players where the defense is just like backed off. Yeah, and I think you're just going to see them dumping underneath the Gibbs. I think you can get plenty of opportunities there.
I love it. I'm a big fan of that. All right, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, I haven't hit the lineup in weeks, so hopefully one of those will hit. We'll see what happens, but we'll see. Anyways, I think that's all we got. Yeah. It's good to be back in the saddle. Thanks for coming through. We'll be live Sunday night football, halftime Sunday night football on Sunday. Of course, it's a home game, so we'll be live Sunday night, giving you our takes from the Patriots game against the Rams.
Follow us on Twitter, and I'm on Blue Sky now as well, so you can follow me over there. I'll shut that. I don't know if you're going to join, Pat. It's the #1 app on the App Store right now.
Is it really? So I am on the fence because I have a hard time keeping up with social media. Not that I have a hard time with it. I have a hard time actually posting and checking things. And so I check Twitter and then post stuff on Twitter. But I have an Instagram, I think, but I've never posted on it. And I have a TikTok, which I do for school. So there's math TikToks and stuff that I make, but I don't ever really check TikTok. And I have a Facebook, but I don't really post on Facebook. So it's I'm like, if I add like another one, I'm like, if it really takes off and people are really on it and they're kind of like, I never went into what was the Facebook one, streams or I forget what it was
Threads.
called. What
Threads.
was that? It Threads, the one
Yeah.
that had the @ symbol or whatever. Never did it. I was just like, nah, it's not. I don't believe in it. I don't believe it's going to be good. I don't believe people are actually going to be on it. Blue Sky, we'll see. But I'm like, I don't know, unless everyone moves over to it. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I will. We'll see what happens.
I saw something about how like a couple 100,000 people have deactivated Twitter since the election, and Blue Sky is now the #1 app on the App Store.
So maybe people
This
will
might
make a
be the
move
move.
over. We'll see what happens.
Yep. I'm
We'll
on
see. We'll
both.
see what the buzz.
So whatever.
Well, that's the
works for you.
thing. That's if you're on both, then I'm like, now what? Like I got to do both. I'm like, I can't.
Yeah,
do both. It's too much.
it's a lot. It's a
So
lot.
I'm
But
old, man. I can't do both.
We'll see where things settle.
So, old man mom's asking, Jake Paul or Mike Tyson.
Tyson.
Tyson looks old. I don't care, man. I don't care. Stepping into a ring with that man seems like suicide. I just don't. I can't even imagine. I just feel like he would just eat your face off. I don't know. Tyson I feel like also has something to prove. And again, it could all be talk. I don't know. But like he seems like locked in, like he really wants to win. And if that's the case and you're getting him like fully locked in, I just think he's gonna absolutely just destroy him. And old man mom's right. He did say like he's fighting for his kids. He's like, my kids like know who I am, but they think I'm a nobody. And like I'm gonna show them I'm not a nobody. And I was like, oh my god, dude, if he's like really that locked in, like see you later, dude.
It's over.
So we'll see. I won't buy it, but I'll watch the highlights.
Yeah, same.
So, but anyways, well, thanks for tuning in, people, and we will talk to you Sunday night, halftime of Sunday Night Football. Be good and go Pats.